Hey, what up, home fries? It's me, Jessie Field, doing a monologue for stage of the game. Yeah, lucky you. I don't have the technology that Owen has, so I cannot show you a video game that I am playing. I must instead show you my human face. It's not a great deal for either of us, but we'll muddle through whatever this is. I have to say, it's very easy to do a podcast. You're just like, you're hanging out with your friends and you guys can watch that. But this feels much more like a performance piece, which I'm not super about. I mean, hey, I work in theater. That's my life, but not being on stage. And I was just watching Owen's monologue before this to think about like what the fuck I should say. We can swear, right? No one's here to stop me. I'll do what I want. Anyway, I was watching Owen's piece about and how he was talking about getting angry and feeling like he wanted to change that. And I was thinking about like vulnerability today and vulnerability in theater, and and that's what I'm going to talk about today is my feelings and our feelings. Since Owen was so nice to share his feelings, but I had that instinct listening to it. Owen, my friend, I'm sure you and just my mom and dad are watching this, so it's just for you, buddy. But authentic reactions to things in the world are like good, and you shouldn't suppress them because there's something really beautiful about emotion. And I think that's why I work in theater. Emotion sort of becomes like your craft. And as a playwright and as a director, I'm always trying to find it, and I'm always trying to recreate it, and I'm trying to make it feel as real as if it were actually happening, to the point where like it is actually happening, like good theater is doing. I mean, you get stabbed on stage, you're not dead. We're not crazy, but you are going through something, a story, and it changes you emotionally to go through it, I think. And it can change you emotionally just to watch it. And that's why we do it, because we want to change people or learn something or step into someone else's life. Is what I was thinking about today. As I'll tell you too, as a playwright, my impulse for this monologue was like to write a monologue. Write the perfect dialogue for me to say with like just the right amount of anecdotes and jokes. So that was timed out to 10 minutes, 10 pages. And at some point I just had to turn on this camera and like just accept that would be a bizarre and insane thing to do, and I should take advantage of this time when I am the only person in my apartment. And just go ahead and do this fucker. So we gonna do this fucker. And I'm already doing it. It's fine. I think I'll, at some point, if I'm not so lazy, I'll cut you a couple clips of the rehearsals I'm in, so that you're not just looking at my face all day, but, we'll see. I don't know what this is going to be like. We're just going to find out together. So, first order of business. Yes, we're so busy. We can't line up our schedules. I am busy because of... You remember La Maupin, my play. It's been weeks. I'm still talking about it. It's still my whole life. We rehearse it's like 28 hours a week. And when I'm not rehearsing for it, I'm like intensely prepping for it. In fact, this is sort of the first weekend because Monday through Wednesdays are my off days. And I'm recording this on a Monday. I don't know when it will go up or etc. But the first weekend where I've actually had some time where I feel like I can just take a minute to do something else. So to that end, I haven't really been playing a lot of video games except for Plants vs. Zombies, which is not a real video game. It's like a phone game. But, shout out to Plants vs. Zombies Heroes because there's a lot of strategy in that shit. And I play with my brother Jared and my excellent good friend Elisa, and it's a really short way to like bond with each other from far apart. And I always appreciate that, even as I watch them like grow 20 levels ahead of me while I desperately just try to complete each day's daily challenge. So, not a bad game. There's a new Galaxy deck. Does anybody play this? Is this a game people play? You can't answer me. You just have to listen to me. How horrible for you. But, I do like it. I think there's a lot of skill behind it. And the daily challenges are new and it's really fun, especially on Wednesdays where it's like a puzzle challenge and I'm sort of about puzzle games. It's one of the reasons I like Zelda so much. Anyway, I'm all over the place. La Maupin is my play. Uh, I'm directing it. I wrote it. I don't always think that's a good idea. But, I felt compelled to do it this time. I did it once before when my other play, Rachel, was my senior thesis, and I directed it mostly because I could not find anyone else to direct it. I was very protective of the piece, and so I just did it myself. And I think that was really like a bad decision. Although I guess, you can't make someone out of no one, and somebody had to direct it. So, but I was so close to it emotionally, and it was such a fucking mess. I think I talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't know. You tell me. But I felt like I was putting too much pressure on my team because it meant so much to me, and I was so wrapped up in it emotionally that I couldn't do the best job I had ever done. And of course, I was much younger then, and that was only my fifth show I had ever directed. And so I had some regrets about that and some hesitancy to do this. But obviously I'm doing it, so I convinced myself otherwise. You start with the practical. Look, putting on your own show is prohibitively expensive. You have to make compromises everywhere just to get your work out there. At least I do. A young, struggling theater artist, I'm just trying to figure things out. And many of the projects I've done as a director, certainly as a playwright, I've just sort of willed into existence with my sheer desire to make it happen. And so you just make it happen with whatever you have and whoever is willing to do it with you. And so one way to save, upwards of $500 or way more, depending on who you want to get, was to direct it myself. I don't have to pay a director. Here's one. I know that I'll work 200 hours per week for free. For negative free. I'll put money into the show. So that just sort of made financial sense. For starters, especially with 2 shows going up this summer. Money's scary in theater. They say if you can do anything else, you should do it. And I agree. And I just don't want to do anything else. And I have never regretted 1 minute of this career path I've chosen. But it's not easy. But I think the best things in life are hard. So, go chase those dreams. Anyway, and I also directed it. I just really wanted to. In a way I never felt about Rachel. Rachel is really an introvert's play. I'm certainly an introvert. That's why I spent 2 hours putting off turning on this camera to talk to you all, because interacting with people, even if it's only 3 of you, just the internet. But again, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is a good thing, and I think that's one of the reasons I was so happy to do this when Owen asked me, because I don't like being seen or heard, except in my scripts. That's different. That's safer somehow. Still vulnerable, but less vulnerable. But it's good. I think it's always good to push yourself a little farther. And Monologues, which I thought was a great idea, became scary. But I'm doing it anyway, because, that's how I try to live my life, even if later I'll just take a 16-hour nap to compensate. But anyway, I try to honor instinct a lot as I work in theater, and I had the instinct that I wanted to direct La Maupin. It's been a while since I've gotten to direct something. Not since I got back from Cap Stage. If I had a real project, I spent, those 7 months probably writing the script, which was great for me. I've never had so much time in a row to work on a piece, and I've never had so much energy to work on a piece coming straight out of our recent presidential election. I had a lot of feelings that I wanted to put somewhere, and I put them into this play, which was really cathartic in a way that not even going to rallies was, because you feel like a drop in an ocean. But writing a play made me feel better. And writing a play is great, but I miss directing. I have a lot more confidence as a playwright, I think, than as a director. But there's no substitute for being in that room, being a part of everything, getting to touch everything and make it just the way you want, or just to meet those people and find out their truths and help them make it the best they can be. There's nothing like that. And I wanted to do it, so I did. And actually, I feel pretty good about how it's going in the room. I mean, and I'm very fortunate because I honestly can't imagine a better cast or crew in the whole world. I mean, I've worked with many casts now who I've loved dearly, but, but I think this is the most. I think this is the most I've ever loved a group of people and a piece. And it does have that, like, importance to me of Rachel where I'm very wrapped up in it and it's all I think about and it's emotional for me, but like in a safer way. I don't know. It's still very sad. It's not like just because there's sword fighting and sex and jokes in it, doesn't make it less emotional in a lot of ways. You'll have to come see it if you want to see how. New York City Wild Project Theater, July 18th, 21st, 22nd, like our Facebook page, etc. But, I don't know. It means a lot to me. And I think I've been prepping so much because of that. Because I don't want to let them down, this team. And I was having this anxiety, like, before I go in. And normally you do. Like, the first rehearsal or 2 or even 3, I'll be like, what is this going to be like? What sort of director am I going to have to be this time? And honestly, as I was saying, this has been one of the best experiences I've ever had so far. I mean, we're 3 weeks in now. And I really don't have to be anyone but myself, which is nice. They're really great, smart people, and they don't need to be pushed in a certain sort of way. Some actors do, but they work so hard. I mean, like, my God. I feel very fortunate. But, and so you're left feeling like, well, I don't want to let them down. So I would prep for like 8 hours a night, blocking and making sure I had options for everything, far more than I ever had before. And it's a very complicated show. Playwright Jessie just does whatever she wants, and director Jessie is left to clean up her mess. Her bizarre stage directions and the narration device, which is really helpful as a playwright to get scenes moving or to establish scene or feelings or time period through no effort at all. You can just say it. There are narrators. They'll tell you what's going on. But as a director, it's like a much more challenging sort of thing. The narrators are also playing characters. Where do they come in? Where do they exit? I've only got 2 ways in from backstage. Are they too crowded? Who's moving the set? The piece rolls on and on. It never really stops. And that's good. That's exciting. That's fun. But it's a lot to block. So I spend a lot of time blocking it. We have no design team. So I'm the design team for the most part, along with my brother and my stage managers. Morgan and our ASM, Katie, who's fucking amazing. I love them all. They're so wonderful. But it's a lot to think about. A lot of moving pieces, and with a small team, you're always afraid you'll miss something. That something will drop behind and it'll be too late. And, like, what do you do? There's always a way. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. But, it can be scary. I mean, you're taking a risk. And a script you wrote yourself, it's never been done before. This is my prop, so I just grab it. But, you're scared. It's scary. But that makes it good. I don't know. This is the career I chose. I have no regrets. I feel like I should tell you a bit about the piece a bit more, because I want an excuse to show you a couple of clips that I have siphoned away. It's based on a true sort of story, a true legend. Julie d'Aubigny, French swordswoman, opera singer, rogue. And it's sort of an episodic play because there are just a bunch of stories about her, all different accounts. Some of them really, like, drenched in moral judgment, which is how I came up with the narration device. It starts off with a historian doing one of the older accounts where pretty judgy, and our narrators, as we call them in rehearsal, sort of the ghosts of lovers past, present, and future. Not really, but, a little bit. Take over and tell the story their way. And I promise it's, like, not as dumb as it sounds. It's always about how more than what, And these actors sell it to you. You should come see this shit just for these fucking actors. They're, non-equity actors don't get nearly enough credit as they deserve because they're doing this work because they want to, because they love it. And they work so fucking hard. I mean, I'm in awe of them, and I appreciate them. That's the kind of people I want to work with, and that's, I mean, I'm not an actor, but that's where I feel like I'm at. You know, I'm doing it because I need to. I want to. It's, you know, pursuing this sort of thing. I imagine if you're all in theater, you felt it. And you just can't walk away from that sort of thing. So, you know, anyway, I don't know. Who even knows if I'm coherent? Only you guys, trapped for 15 minutes so far. Total bullshit. It is the third piece I've written with my brother, who does the music, and I wrote the book and the lyrics. And this was sort of a fun piece for us because we've got the two sides of Julie, the sword fighter and the opera singer, and I'm, you know, it suits Jared and I. Jared, well, first of all, he fucking loves opera, which I had never been able to get into because I'm really story-driven. You know, that's why I'm drawn to theater, and those are the video games I'm drawn to, too, or the ones with, like, immersive stories that I could become a part of or, like, emotionally connect with. And in the operas I've seen, and I don't mean to diss opera too badly, it's an art form. I love the spectacle. I appreciate that some people get a lot more out of it than perhaps I have in my very limited experience. But I find that it takes a while, so long to get to the story. The story happens in, like, 3 minutes after we've, like, repeated the same thing forever. And so it's more like a concert, like a classical sort of concert, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I have great appreciation for classical music on some level, but it's not what, you know, ignites my passion or my interest. It's always the story. So Jared sort of became the advocate for the operas, whereas I became the advocate for the fighting parts of the play. There are 8 duels in the show, but, like, really there are more like 14 duels because one of the duels is 4 duels and one of the duels is like 5 very short duels, kind of. My math is not working out. But anyway, there are a lot of fucking duels in the play. And I was really drawn to, in the wake of the election, in a time when I think you can feel really powerless, like things are going to be changing regardless of how you feel or what you do, and really invasive ways that are going to deeply affect your life and the lives of people you really care about. You feel powerless, and so I wanted to write this really powerful fucking character, and when anyone is sexist or judgmental or horrible, like, she gets to stab them, and that was, like, really cathartic for me. And our lead actress who's playing Julie is fucking amazing. And, you know, and here's a clip of her with a sword. Hang on, now, Julie. I think my skin, find a heart, see within, and if you know I know, I'll watch my back till I am grown. But in everyone confess, I give my all and nothing less. I am better than the rest. I am better. I have to be the best. I have to be the best. I have to be the best. Amazing, right? It's good shit. And I think it was fun coming together with Jared to find, like, an appreciation for the other person's side. We have some great fight directors who, you know, sort of brought my dreams beyond what I could have imagined for them to life, as you saw in that clip, which I'm sure I inserted, probably. But, you know, from Jared's side, we wrote these operas together, and I had to read about them and watch them for research. And it's so funny, you read about these operas, and, like, they sound fucking insane. Like they'd be the most interesting thing in the world, because it's about, like, you know, they're in love, but then the gods pull them apart, and he has to slay a dragon, and then plant the dragon's teeth, and the teeth grow into soldiers, and then Cupid grenades the soldiers, but a couple of them live, and they side with our handsome prince, but then, the evil king brings his whole army, but then Pallas Athena petrifies them with her Medusa shield. This is literally the plot of an opera in our play. We just do an excerpt from it. But, that sounds so exciting. And, where do I see that? Is it really like that? Like, it's so interesting. But what Jerry did is he really took these operas, he took the scenes I wrote. Some of them are based much very closely to the actual opera texts, and some of them are like totally. I read the Wikipedia summary and I made up what it could be because I'm trying to link it to the story, you know. So if an opera's happening, there's a parallel in what Julie's going through. When she does Psyche, it's because she is feeling abandoned and like, in a place. I mean, we're going into into spoiler alert, an attempted suicide scene, and so that parallel rang really true for me, and that's why I chose that opera to put in that scene as we blend it into the musical theater world. And Jared does a great job of, doing it in the style of an opera, but also in the style of musical theater. And as a special treat for you guys, I'm just going to put a whole opera in here because I fucking love it. These guys are amazing. It's just rehearsals. You can tell they're all rehearsals. We're not totally ready yet, but it's so fun. I really like it. I mean, this is the only opera I believe that's done like without interruption, because one of the things Julie is really famous for is like fucking up operas. She attempted suicide 2 times on stage, and also she just fucked up a bunch of operas for fun, like just to screw with her friends, or something else was going on. It's all explained in the play. But this is the only one that sort of like finishes that's not screwed up, and we just had a fucking ball staging it as a group. I mean, they did not even need me to block them. I told them where to enter, and this is all them. So, enjoy.
My prince, this course is insane. The dragon of Mars cannot be slain. You cannot stop me. I would face the gods above. Anything at all. Should it win me now, my love? My prince, you can't. I say I will. Oh, no, you can't. Oh, yes, I will. Oh, no, you can't. I will. You can't. I will. You I will. Can't slay the dragon of Mars.
The goddess Juno comes to stop us
sure by now it's been like 28 minutes once I add these clips in, which seems like, impossibly long. But I realize I haven't said anything about video games, and I should. This is stage of the game, not just stage of the stage. So, video games. I haven't been playing any. I've been really busy with the show. This is sort of the first break I've had, and I'm spending it here with you guys. Well, 4 of you. Or maybe more, but like, God, I hope I don't care. It's all good. Thank you for coming. But I was thinking today, what I'd like to talk about for video games, I was feeling like sort of nostalgic for the video games of my childhood. I was thinking about like playing Game Boy, like under your covers as a kid, like Game Boy Color, the really square one with the bad graphics, and you'd have that little like light you'd plug into the side, the little curly light, like a book light, so you could see the screen, because the screen is like not even backlit. It's just, and I was just sort of fondly remembering that, and like early Pokemon, which is, amazing. I love Pokemon, although, you try to go back and play it, and there's like a lot of grind work. You really have to train your little guys, and now also I think about it too much, and like, what are we really doing then? Like, are we fighting them for our enjoyment? Is this like dog fight? Like, there's no way to like show them friendship or care or anything, so I'm always sort of like, what are we doing? Like, is this okay? I know it's a video game, but and I'll tell you, I've frequently felt like, my computer, stay still. I'll stop moving so much. Anyway, but I always feel like I was telling Morgan about this weeks ago, but when I play Skyrim, I joined the Assassin's Guild because it's freaking awesome, and I love the costume and the stealth thing, but as I was doing the missions where you just, like, kill people, like, at work, like, they're just, like, getting water from the well or, like, going to sleep, and I'm just, like, behind a bush, and I just shoot them in the head. Like, I feel really bad about it. I know I shouldn't. Like, I know it's fun, and it was fun, but, like, I had to go back and undo it and not kill them somehow moralistically. I don't know what that's about. And I don't know if there's anything wrong with it. Actually, you know what I really enjoyed about Owen's monologue was, like, his soothing voice as he insightfully talks about things he cares about, but, like, while he's literally robbing a convenience store in a cat mask or, like, jumping out of a plane. That juxtaposition was, I thought, hysterical. And, part of the fun of video games is escapism. Like, you don't always want to be in your own head. For us introverts, and I think theater people, gaming people, are probably all a bunch of introverts. And we were working out the blocking for some of the fights with our fight director, and he said, it's so interesting that almost everyone I meet in theater is very insecure and a severe introvert. And we were like, yeah, I mean, we all are. So many of us are. And so what is it about that like makes us want to reach out in this way? I'm such a fucking introvert, and yet I choose every day for my job to go interact with a ton of people for a variety of reasons. Working on the show, getting the stuff for the show, raising the money for the show, getting people to come for the show. It's all interpersonal, which takes a lot of energy for me, and yet I find it so rewarding. And it's one of those interesting things in life. There's something to it. I'm sure there is. You can tell me about it in the comments, but I'm sure you won't. But think about it, like, call me someday and we'll chat. But I'll see, this is the problem with monologues. Like, I don't know what my original point was, and I'm sure you do, and you're waiting for me to get back to it, and I've got, like, nothing. Was it about the video games I'm nostalgic for? Was it Pokemon? Was I talking about Pokemon? I love Pokemon. And it is sort of a story-based game, although not so much. I'm way more into Skyrim. I was talking about Skyrim. I couldn't even do the Thieves Guild. Like, I started to. I was like, this is a good compromise. Like, I'll break the law, but, like, I won't hurt anybody. But then, like, I had to smash this guy's, like, prized pot, and I was, like, threatening him, and it was like, can you just give me the money you owe my guild so I don't have to break your pot, but, like, you have to break his pot. And, like, I know he's not real, and I know the pot doesn't mean anything to not real, whoever that was. But, like, I had to unbreak it. Like, I felt so guilty. Too much empathy, probably, I have. I just want to care for everyone I meet, even fake people. But, I don't judge people. I don't think that video games cause violence either. I think, actually, anger is a normal feeling to have sometimes, and if you can express it in a non-violent way, like by playing a video game, you absolutely should. I think people are you know, sort of closed-minded about art even when they say that, like, video games are... Because video games are art to me, you know what I mean? It's like a story, it's like a world. They built a whole world that you can explore at your leisure, and that's extraordinary, and you can get lost in it. And I know, like, you're not doing something, but you are. Like, you're literally doing it. And so even though, you know, like in theater, it's not happening. Julie has not been risen from the grave to perform for you 3 nights in July, but you can still change people by going through that. You can have an experience, and life is all about having experiences and making stories and sharing stories and being changed by stories. And I think that's so important. And whether that's something you embark on in a video game alone, because that's really nice sometimes, with fewer consequences. I mean, it's a great way to experience a world with, like, much less anxiety than, like, there are high stakes in this world. I was talking with my brother about, like, imposter syndrome this week, too. Like, you know, we're putting on this play, and we really... I mean, I have faith that it's a good play. But it's a piece of me, and you can doubt in that. Or, you know, this is my 12th show I've ever directed, and I've done a bunch of assistant directing, and I've worked in theater for... How old am I? I don't know. A bunch of years now. But you still feel like... how do I stack up to other directors they have? Like, am I really... There was one day I had to choreograph a dance, and I was so insecure about it, and it went fine. I mean, because they have choreographed it themselves. I mean, I give them the steps, but they made it into a dance. But this feeling like you're just floundering, like you're just trying to pretend you are this thing you want to be, and, like, if you pretend long enough, that's just what you are. But you know... It's all real, everything we do, and, you know, it's normal to feel like you're not good enough, but, you know, you have to keep trying. This is my message of this monologue, is, like, hard things are important, and even when they fuck you up a little bit, you should be very proud of doing them anyway. Like me, continuing to talk to you on this monologue, which I feel like I'm at a point where I could wrap up soon, but I'm not sure Did I talk about video games? I said I'm nostalgic for Pokemon and the Game Boy. You know what else was a great game for my childhood? Nintendo 64. Pokemon Snap. Like, what a fucking weird concept. Like, you're in that, like, roller coaster car that goes, like, 1/2 a mile per hour, and you just chuck things at Pokemon and try to take their picture. And Professor Oak, who knows nothing about, like, the rule of thirds or anything, just judges you based on weird shit. But that was a fun game. I used to play that a lot. The secret passages. What did you throw? Like food? Like apples? Or Pokeballs? No, you couldn't catch them. Was it rocks? Do you throw rocks at them? I know you throw rocks at them, like, in the safari zone of regular Pokemon. Isn't that, like, sort of cruel? This is my point about Pokemon. Like, I love it. Good shit. Bulbasaur for life. But, like, what are we doing? Like, what is this about? Like, I don't support dog fighting or cockfighting, so, like, why is this okay? And, of course, we can return to it's just a video game, Jessie, and you don't have to take it so seriously. You don't have to invest your emotional life in it. But I tend to invest my emotional life in things, which is why theater means so much to me. So you know what? Like, that's plenty, right? Look, my timer says it's been 29 minutes, which I find literally unbelievable. You know, sorry, you're welcome. Thanks for listening, if you're here. I mean, if you heard that, you are here, so thanks for listening. Reaching out into the void, like we do. And, keep on trucking, my theater friends. You know, it's not always easy, but nothing has ever been more worth it, more, rewarding for me. And I would not go back and undo any of the choices I've made. And even as I continue to be a little trepidatious and stressed out about Mama Pad, that's because it means so much to me. And I think it's going to be fucking great. And my New York City friends, you should really come see it, because, like, holy shit, it's, like, really good. And, like, we have, like, really good sword fights and, like, really good sex scenes and, like, really good singers. Okay, last thought is that the singers in my show are fucking insane. And there are only 13 songs, and, like, most of them only get one because it's such a Julie-centered play. And it's just such a shame. I wish we could, like, form a company with these people and pay them a salary and just work with them all the time. That's the dream, you know. Maybe one day we'll value art a little more in our society. So, yeah, thanks, friends. I'll go shove some clips into this retroactively, and hopefully they will be enough to entertain you, along with my emotional ramblings. But for now, this has been Stage of the Game. Jessie Field, signing off. Until, like, 3 weeks from now, and you can look forward to Tony and Morgan coming up next with their monologues. I wonder what they're going to talk about. Only time will tell. Yeah. All right. Bye.